Good afternoon, good afternoon. I'm gonna wait here. Say hi when you get into the room. Wave to me. Let me know that you're here. So as I've been reflecting, I've done a few lives in reflection of the most recent events that have happened, and I talked about last week preserving personal power. I talked about earlier this week. I talked about some similar things around personal power and maintaining a safe mind space. And today I want to talk a little bit about perspective on events like this, because when we experience with global national events, but even down to our personal lives, sometimes whether what we're experiencing is pleasurable or good, or whether what we're experiencing is bad, it's important to ask the question of what is the highest intention. And oftentimes, we have a lot of things coming at us in life. Some things we intend to happen, some things we don't intend to happen. And if the thing that happens is something that we didn't want to happen or was displeasurable, sometimes we don't even process it. We just keep it moving. And especially if you're like a high performing professional, something happens that is a loss or is traumatic with a little t or a big T, doesn't matter. It does matter, but if whatever is happening, if some of us who are like really high performing professionals don't even stop to process it. We just keep it moving, right? And that stuff gets stuck in our unconscious mind. Sometimes our initial reaction is that emotional reaction, right? And there has been some high emotions, and rightfully so, high emotions in the space given the events of since the new year. And it's just so amazing that it's only the 14th of the month and so much has gone on, not to mention all of the things that were already going on in 2020. So the question to ask is, what is the highest intention? And let me break that down. Everything in our lives, every behavior, every communication, every circumstance has a higher intention. Hey, Absolute Fit. Hey, Ayana. Hey, Brilliant and Well. Hey, let other people know that that we're on. Okay, just to share this with other people. Let other people know that we're live, because I think this is a very important topic, right? Whether it's a circumstance, whether it is a loss of a home, a loss of a job. And I was having this conversation actually last week in the clubhouse with a few people, as we were talking about the fact that let's take this country, for example. Everything that's happened in 2020. It's funny. When we were in 2019, everybody was like, this is about to be, 2020 vision. This is about to be a transformational year. This is about to be, I remember in 2019, like everybody was just really pumped about 2020. And what I'll say is, we definitely got 2020 vision. It definitely was a transformational year. It was in many ways, but maybe not as we were expecting. But if you think about the higher intention and the order of events that happened, it was necessary, because our eyes got open. Now, it's safe to say that for many of us, our eyes were already open, but the world's eyes were open to something that had been already going on for hundreds of years, right? Many people's whole lifetimes, and maybe multiple lifetimes if you believe in that, right? So when in May we were all at home, most people were at home, quarantined, and in the pandemic, and George Floyd was murdered. All of the people had to sit and watch this man be murdered. Across the world, across the globe, and it sparked something. If your eyes weren't already open, which many people maybe already were, but it sparked a global outrage, which is not something that has been present in the past, right? What is the higher intention? I'm not saying that should have happened. I'm just saying when there are perspectives that you can take when you look at the long view and you look at the big picture. I'm not saying it's going to cure anything, because obviously we have a long way to go. But what I'm saying is that when you're thinking about how do I cope or manage or resolve, not even, and it's not like you accept it, but resolve what's going on, you start to look at, well, what is the highest intention? When you think about how in the world this man got in office and has been in office for the past 4 years, and you think about what it has sparked, it's possible, when you think about what is the highest intention, that this all needs to culminate in the way that it does, so that there could be some type of shift. There is no light without darkness. There is no light without darkness. And so, I'm bringing it global. What is the highest intention? And it sometimes can be very difficult to see. It's very difficult to ask that question of what is the highest intention, right? Because all we see is what's happening, and all we feel is the outrage and the anger for what's happening and what's going on, knowing that if the tables were turned, the situation would look very differently. And so what sometimes we have to do, and this is actually something we do in NLP. It's a technique called chunking up, chunking higher to really see what the highest intention is, so that you can look forward into what's yours to do. Because oftentimes we are wondering, what is it, especially if we're at home and we're not out on these streets, we have families to raise. What is it that we can do to impact? And part of it is looking at, well, what is the highest intention? And then once you can see the highest intention, you can kind of put yourself in the spectrum of what is mine to do? What is mine to do? So now let's pan that down to a more personal level, because we can look globally, but it often brings it home when you can look into your personal life. So what is something in your personal life that has happened that has been unexpected, whether it's good or bad? So for myself, most of you know by now, I'm a physician. I'm an integrative medicine physician. I'm an NLP master practitioner, hypnotherapist, and NLP and hypnosis trainer, and I run a training school. Well, if you had asked me, 20 years ago when I became a doctor, if I would have left medicine, I would have been like, why would I ever do that, right? When 5 years into my private practice, I got the voice, the inner guidance that I would probably be leaving medicine, then, I followed that guidance, and then I have to ask myself, what is mine to do? So when that happens, I followed that. I had to think to myself, well, what is the higher intention of me wanting to leave medicine? And for me, it was to be able to serve in a different way, to be able to heal in a different way, because at heart, I'm a healer, right? So to be able to heal patients at a higher scale by helping to heal medical professionals who treated them. And then there was another transition into career coaching and to business coaching for my colleagues. But what was the highest intention of that? Well, part of it was for me to become facilitated in business and running my own business so that I could teach it for others, right? I mean, I had done that for 10 years, but in a different kind of way. And now coming back to my healing roots, well, what is the highest intention of that? So when I look at the trajectory of all of the shifts and changes that have happened in my career, there could be the question of, well, why would I ever leave medicine? Or there's the question of what is the highest intention. So I was having a conversation with a sister colleague of mine, and she had a loss, lost her house, and in a house fire, and she lost everything. And then, but what came out of that was some financial freedom, because obviously the house was insured, and they were able to get some money to pay off her student loans, and then they were able to, through with her income, build another nest egg. And now that led to a different, a new level of wealth for them. It's a very convoluted way of having done that, but she lost everything and was able to gain that back, learn money management, learn the financial budgeting, and to rebuild her life. Her and her husband and her children rebuild their life to a greater level. So you could say, well, what was the highest intention of her losing everything in the house? And not to say that was a good thing. It's just to say, what is the highest intention? So what is that for you? What is that for you? You can type in the chat box if you want. What is that for you? The highest intention of something that's unexpected, whether it's good or whether it's challenging, a challenge that you've overcome. You can go back and you can look, what is the highest intention? If there's something right now that you're experiencing in your life, ask your unconscious mind, what is the highest intention for that? And see if that can help you to really begin to see the big picture of the possibility of what's to come. Are you writing your story? You might be writing your story to be able to inspire others. When I was in residency, I went through a very dark depression. And I'm very committed to mental health. I'm a psychology major as an undergrad, coming in to be a physician focusing on coaching and now mindset and mental health in the NLP and hypnosis space, right? But I had my own deep depression and brush with suicide, and I don't speak about that a lot. But when I think about my whole story, what is the highest intention of the way I experienced life growing up? And, as a survivor of domestic violence, a child survivor of domestic violence, I should say, and as an adult survivor of an alcoholic marriage, as a survivor of depression, deep depression. What is the higher intention of that? It really led me on a path and connected me to my purpose. So, that's really what I wanted to talk about today is and the thing that I want to ask you as an action item, because I love to get homework. The thing that I want to invite you to do today is to look at your life. Look at all of the things that have happened, the good things that have happened, the challenging things that have happened, the bad things that happened, the painful things that have happened, and everything in between. And ask yourself, what was the higher intention of that? Yeah, I get it. Yeah, single mama coming out of trauma is hard. Yeah, absolutely. And I really relate to that, And so what is the highest intention of all of that? Hardships, what is the highest intention? And so I would invite you to type in the chat box. If you guys are going to be listening on IG, you're listening on replay, type in the chat box, look at your life. What are the highest intentions of any good or bad or challenging or painful experiences that you have happened or successes that have happened? What are the highest intention of your journey along the way? Share that with me in the comments and inspire other people. You're not just sharing it for me, but share it so that you inspire those who are coming behind you listening to this on replay, so that people can really get what is the higher intention. And you keep asking yourself that. Keep asking yourself that over and over again as you go through life day after day. The littlest things, the conversations that you have with people, even the conversations that you have with people, the ones that rub badly, rub uncomfortably, even the uncomfortable conversations that you must have. Ask yourself, what is the higher intention? Communications that come at you. What is the higher intention of that conversation that person is having over there with you? Instead of reacting and responding, what could you do? You could really ask, what is the higher intention of that communication? What's behind that communication? Because there's always a higher intention. That's one of the things we learn in NLP. And what that does is when you start to ask that question in every area of your life, whether it's for circumstances or things that are happening in your life, or whether it's communications that are coming at you from other people, your spouse, your children, your boss, your colleagues, people on this platform, right? What's the higher intention? What's behind that? A lot of times it really has nothing to do with you, but it has something to do with what they're either what they want, what they're not getting, what they're afraid of, what they're afraid of losing, what they're afraid they won't get. Maybe the higher intention is love. Maybe the higher intention is wanting the best for you, And even before you speak, think of the higher intention of the communication that's about to come out of your mouth too, right? Personal responsibility. Think of the higher intention of that. Because sometimes we say things with an intention, or we say things without intention. We just say things, right? And then we say things with intention. But also think about what the higher intention of the communication and how it will be received as well. Will it be received in a way that you mean it? Yeah. So this is a theme that I think can be used on a personal level. And as we go through 2021, we are going to see so much more of what we're already seeing. If you think this is done, you know that there's a lot more to come, and we need to be prepared to protect our mind space. And part of that is just recognizing what the highest intention is for that, so that you can then ask yourself, what is mine to do? And how is it that I am to respond in a way that empowers myself and empowers those around me in my inner circle, so that I can make the biggest difference that I can. Yeah. So, thank you all for showing up. Of course, I as I always share, if you are interested in having a personal breakthrough session, personal hypnotherapy session with me, you can just reach out to me by messenger, or you can click the link in the bio. It'll take you to the training page. Go to remapmymind.com as well, and then you can learn about what's involved in having a personal breakthrough session. If you're interested in learning, a lot of these things I talk about are NLP based, right? And we do have upcoming trainings. So a lot of these things that we talk about are NLP based. And if you're interested in learning more about how to get trained in NLP and hypnosis and timeline therapy and NLP coaching, then of course, again, reach out to me or just click the link in the bio. All right. Well, you all have a wonderful rest of the day, a wonderful rest of the week. I will look for comments on what your highest intentions are, and inspire others who are going to be coming behind you and listening to this on IGTV. And of course, again, please like and share and click on the link in the bio if you want to learn more about the coaching. You guys have a wonderful rest of the day and a wonderful rest of the week. I'll see you next week on Monday, which is when I'll be doing my next live stream. All right, take care. Bye.